Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, February 24th. Welcome to Mornings with the Manager. Appreciate all you are being here and joining me today. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that I just checked up on the sign up for the vaccinations for the Montage Health Clinic that is taking place on the 25th and the 26th in Marina. And there are openings for folks that are 75 and older, uh, or work in healthcare, or 65 and older and work in agriculture, food, education, childcare, or emergency services, or those who live in Seaside and Marina in certain zip codes and are 65 and older. So please, if you fall under those qualifiers, right now there are still a bunch of openings available for tomorrow and Thursday for tomorrow and Friday at CHOMP. So you have to go on the website through chomp.org, and there you will find out that how you can sign up for that. But there are still a large number of openings for the Thursday and Friday clinics. So I wanted to start with that and let you know that that's part, of course, of the increasing numbers of vaccinations that are taking place here on the peninsula. And with that urgent news that I wanted to share with you, I want to talk about a few items that hopefully you find interesting and informative. Let's stick to the first topic, which is the COVID-19 update that I want to provide to you. The numbers are trending all in the right directions. We can really see that there is a strong downwards trend in many of those numbers. I believe on Monday, the infection rate or the number of active cases that are being tracked in the city of Monterey were 9 cases in the city of Monterey. So that's good news. Of course, we have to be cautious because we have seen the virus work in waves, and we have to remain vigilant. But all those numbers are trending in the right direction. Now, Monday night, you might have seen the news on KSBW8 talking about possibly moving from the purple tier to the red tier. And what I want to let you know is that those numbers that we have trending in the right directions are a positive sign, but I foresee not really in the near future a move into the red tier as we might hope for it. We are still in some of the metrics that are being used, tracking in the purple tier and not very close to the red tier. What also what also has to be acknowledged is the fatality rate. And the fatality rate usually lags 2 to 3 weeks behind the other rates or the other metrics. So even though if we have less people getting infected and the testing is also showing good data, the fatality rate also has to, so to speak, trend in the right directions. And there is so far a documented lag of 2 to 3 weeks of delays between good trends in the other metrics and the fatality rate. So the report Monday night was very optimistic, very hopeful, and we are all trending in the right direction. Some counties have already gone into the red tier. I think Marin County is one of them in the San Francisco Bay Area. Here in our area, Monterey County, we will still stay for a little while longer in purple. So it will not happen in the next week or so. So stay tuned on that. And of course, our public health official, Dr. Moreno, who is ultimately the person who will make those determinations after they look at the numbers, will advise when they are ready to do that. The vaccination numbers going going back to my first remarks that there are openings right now for vaccinations. The vaccination numbers are trending also in the right direction. We are getting more doses into the county. It's a slow increase. It's not like a huge increase of numbers of doses that overwhelm us, but they are trending in the right direction, as well as that there are doses coming to certain clinics that come directly from a federal allocation and not through the state allocation, and that also is helpful because it doesn't mean that then the state is deducting allocations from the state allocation to us if the federal government is shipping directly to certain agencies. So those agencies are, for instance, the Veterans Administration that get federal allocations of vaccines, and they do not count as being distributed by the state. And then, of course, there are certain clinics that get federal allocation, and then one of them is in Salinas, the Clínica de Salud, and they also receive federal allocations of vaccines. I cannot explain to you why that is and what the background in all of that is, but overall, that is good news because what it means is that those additional federal allocations will not be offset by the state allocations. And why is that important? It's important because the county is still wrestling with getting additional vaccines into the county with respect to the migrant workers, to the seasonal farm workers that are starting to come again in March into the county. The last I was speaking about were the multi-county entities, and that the Board of Supervisors last night decided to contact the County of Santa Cruz to ask them to share some of the vaccines that are being allocated by the state towards the multi-county entities. And just to remind everyone, the multi-county entities are healthcare providers who are working across county boundaries, work in many counties, in multi-counties. Sutter Health, Dignity Health, Kaiser Permanente are the ones that are working in Santa Cruz County. And when you look at the data between Santa Cruz County and Monterey County, you see that there is an inequity between the numbers of doses administered. The County of Monterey is way larger than the County of Santa Cruz, but you see that they have inoculated a lot more folks in Santa Cruz, and part of that is that the vaccinations are being distributed to multi-county entities. For about 6 or 7 weeks, the county has been working with the state, has contacted the state, CDPH, California Department of Public Health, contacted Dr. Gully as the main person on that. But to be frank with you, the state has not responded to our requests to put more fairness into the allocation of vaccine distributions. And that's a failure of the state of not responding to the Board of Supervisors and to the request of our elected officials for the county to basically say, hey, wait a minute, the County of Monterey does not have MCEs. We do not have Kaiser Permanente or Sutter Health or Dignity Health or something like that. And that puts us into a disadvantaged position. So those letters that were sent to the governor's office, to state officials, have not been responded to. That's not a good sign from the state that they are ignoring the Board of Supervisors. So last night, the Board of Supervisors came up with a suggestion to basically send a letter to the County of Santa Cruz or to the multi-county entities there and say, hey, what do you think about coming over here, creating pop-up events, and allocate some of those doses that you have also into counties where you are not usually operating. So it's definitely, pardon the pun, worth a shot to try that, and let's see how the multi-county entities react to that request. The testing numbers are down. A lot of I think there is a certain testing fatigue that is going on. There is the chance, of course, that if we do not test enough, we also do not keep up with potential outbreaks. And we can easily be overwhelmed again if we don't know what really is going on in our communities. There are discussions by the state sponsored test sites that we have here in the county of Monterey. The closest one we have on the peninsula is at Seaside High School. And these are the Optum testing sites. There are discussions about to create pop-up testing sites in different towns here on the Monterey Peninsula. There are discussions about partnerships with school districts, PG School District, Carmel School District, possibly Monterey Peninsula School District to host those pop-up sites and test a lot of folks there. So stay tuned on this one. We also have at least one more testing site opening up by a private company, and that will be opening up at the Monterey Hyatt Hotel. Sooner or later, there will be announcements made by the operator there, but testing is way down, and I think it's a mix between folks being fatigued of running to tests and feeling that they understand better the symptoms. And of course, folks are getting more vaccinated, and some folks probably wait until they get their vaccines instead of running to get tested. So again, this is one of the criteria we are looking at to get out of the purple tier is testing data, and the more we test and the more we know. So it's still absolutely mandatory that if you feel there's the need for a test, just go there and get tested. And you have security about your own health, but you also contribute to the possible changing the numbers of reopening our county. We are approaching next month a 1-year anniversary of the city's emergency declaration. We declared an emergency on March 13, 2020. And at that time, prior to the county, we closed down the sports center, the recreation centers, the conference center, the library, and we basically stopped operating the way we are operating. And since March 13, 2020, you went through with me on multiple meetings through mornings with the manager, and we spoke about beach closures, and we spoke about mandatory mask wearing, changing the fines from $1,000 to $100 administrative citation powers, giving that to the cities, etc., etc. There were a variety of topics. But what we want to do also around March 13 is we want to commemorate this 1 year, and we want to commemorate the lives lost here in the county of Monterey. And our president uses the words "to heal, we must remember," and I think that this is a powerful message for all of us. To heal, we must remember. And while we have surpassed 500,000 deaths in this country, our county also has over 350 deaths and fatalities caused by COVID-19. And so as a city, we have been working on some way of memorializing, remembering all those that we have lost during COVID-19, honoring also our healthcare workers and our first responders. And there will be a few quote-unquote events coming forward. They will be not organized in any shape or form. We don't want to have a mass gathering or so, but you will learn about that over the next couple of days of what we are doing in order to remember. To heal, we must remember. And we have been working on this for a while, and we'll probably publish something next week of what we plan on doing. Today, switching gears, today we have a study session. We turned Wednesdays. The last Wednesday of the month. We usually always have a study session. Today's study session we turned a little bit into a special meeting, and I want to explain to you what is going to happen today. I talked to you about it also 2 weeks ago. Today we will report back to the city council what we have heard and learned from the community with respect to the cannabis um, rollout. The council gave us directions to continue walking down the path towards potentially allowing commercial cannabis retail operations in the city of Monterey. Today is a check-in point. We will report back what we heard from you, what we heard from over 1,400, 1,500 residents. We want to report back what we heard from operators, what we heard from business districts. And we will tell the council today that we feel that the majority of the residents in the city of Monterey have expressed support for potentially having commercial retail operations in the city of Monterey. We'll also explain what we think is the potential for additional sales tax revenues. Let's not forget this topic came forward also as part of a budget discussion, and at that point, Councilmember Hafer expressed interest in creating additional revenues with sales tax coming from cannabis operations. So that was one of the main motivators for the council to look at that also with respect to revenues. I can share with you that the number of additional revenue is anywhere between $470,000 to $1.5 million, and it depends where we place those retailers. If you put one dead smack into the middle of Cannery Row, for instance, where you have 4 million people each year walking up and down Cannery Row, of course, you can generate a lot of revenues. But if you put just one or two on Lighthouse or somewhere in Old Town or another part of Monterey, the number, of course, will be different than if you put one in the tourist center. Now, I want to assure you also tonight or today is not the point where we will figure out where we want to put them, because frankly, we don't know all that. We know that the Cannery Row Business Association has spoken up against putting one onto Cannery Row, and it is a good habit of the staff and also the council to listen what residents and businesses are expressing as their priorities or as their wishes. So we will be very respectful of all of that. And today, though, is a report about sales tax. We will report about policing issues, and we compared basically calls for police services, service calls for police from dispensaries in Seaside and Delray Oaks, and compared those with calls for services for pharmacies in the city of Monterey. That is CVS on Lighthouse, Walgreens on Alvarado, Rite Aid, Pharmaca. And also what I can share with you, and it's part of the agenda report, is that we really haven't heard a lot of significant difference in calls for services. As a matter of fact, we have more calls for services into pharmacies in the city of Monterey than the dispensaries operating in Seaside and Delray Oaks have. So we will report that back because council asked us for that data as well. And last but not least, like I stated earlier, we will talk about all the feedback we have received over the past weeks. And I'm very grateful that we conducted a written poll where basically folks were asked to send us a prepaid postcard back. That came back. That was based on an initiative of one resident when she called in and said, "Look, guys, not everyone is connected through the internet. It's good that you have an online survey, but please send out a postcard as well." And that made a great deal of sense for us. And then we followed her recommendation at that time. And so kudos goes to Esther for proposing that. and the feedback was overwhelming. I think we got over 1,100 postcards back. And we have about 8,800 registered voters in the city of Monterey. So that's a good number to get those data points back. So we will report to that back. And again, there is a majority for by the residents to go forward. That doesn't mean that all the other points that they have asked us to consider are being ignored, because there are security issues that they are concerned about. There are issues about not to allow smoking, loitering. There are requests for having security guards on site, etc. So overall, today we will report that to the council. Last but not least, ask them, hey, council, what do you think? Should we continue? Yes or not? And then if the council says yes, go forward, continue going down the path, then the real work starts. And what does this mean? So that tonight, again, nothing gets approved. It just reaffirms, hopefully, that the staff should continue working on that. And then we keep on working on that. And that means that we then start drafting an ordinance, that we then start drafting a request for proposals that identifies also how many dispensaries, where do you want to put the dispensaries, what kind of dispensaries do you want, what kind of conditions do you want to impose on those dispensaries. And that will be a very involved staff work, but it also has a lot of checks and balances with the public. And the first time you will then see the output of all the interactions that we will continue to have with stakeholders and the public will be a report to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission will be the first one to see then what we are thinking is an applicable, a palatable ordinance for this community. And as I sit here today, I cannot tell you where we want to put them. I cannot tell you how many we want to have. This will be all discussed and negotiated over the next couple of months, and then we'll go to the Planning Commission, provide them with our proposed draft ordinance, and the 7 planning commissioners then will be the first one in a public meeting to discuss what staff has proposed. And usually the Planning Commission does a very thorough job in helping us come up with a draft ordinance then, which we will then pass forward to the City Council. And at that time, the City Council, again, in a public meeting with public input, will make a decision, go or no go, or will change the ordinance, send it back to staff with requests for more changes. So we are in the end, at that time, then will be at the very end, the final go or no go. And today, again, is a check-in. We'll just tell the council where we are going, and of course, the council can say we're done, we don't want to go anywhere, or they can say let's continue down the path. But I wanted to assure you that the actual approval of cannabis retail is still 3-4 months ahead of us when we get there. Council can ultimately decide. Another idea that could be decided is do it like in Pacific Grove, ask for an advisory ballot measure. Basically, ask the voters again, do you want to have cannabis retail here in the city of Monterey, yes or no? So there are still a lot of options on the table. For me, it is important that we check in regularly with the community, but also regularly publicly with the council, so that everyone knows where we are and where we stand right now. So that's going to happen today. Tune in at 4 o'clock or so. We have a very robust and voluminous agenda report out there, contains over 120 pages with the attachments. But I think it's worthwhile for those who are interested in that and reading that and understanding how complex that topic could be. Apologize if I went on too long about cannabis, but it was important for me to explain what is going on there. Last but not least, I want to talk briefly about the budget. We have fixed the budget last Tuesday by putting another $2.9 million from our ending balance, unassigned balance, into the budget to fix holes that we have encountered during the course of this current fiscal year. Our losses since March last year to today are about $32 million. And keep in mind that last year we had an $85 million budget of the general fund, and the 2-year losses of $32 million, they are not trivial. They are really hurting us on so many levels. And the council last Tuesday fixed one of the budget holes and allowed us to put $2.9 million of an unassigned balance back into the budget. And we are going forward over the next 4 or 5 months to present the budget for next fiscal year to the council. The last 2 weekends were very strong. We had a lot of folks visiting the city. And so the numbers that we hear from the hotels are looking pretty good. The numbers we also see from restaurants that allow outdoor dining are also pretty good. They're really not where they should be, and they are not really where they are in normal years, but overall they look fine. What hurts us very much is the downturn during the week. And when we discussed rehabilitation, remodeling the conference center, many times residents were asking, why do we want to invest into the conference center, and what value does it have to have the conference center here? Well, what we said then is even more proven today. Is during the week when we have conferences here with 800 or 1,000 folks, they fill our hotels, and they fill the hotels to a level that you can really see this also in our sales tax, in our TOT. And since the conference center still remains closed, we feel that there is a real lull during the weekdays, and it picks up again Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So parallel, of course, what we always hear is people are concerned about outsiders coming into town. We are out and about enforcing the mask wearing. We try to do our best to keep everyone healthy and protected. The police has community services officers patrolling, and also, of course, the normal patrols are out and about as well. But overall, the past 2 weekends were really good weekends for us. And we hope that with this inflow of revenues, we are stabilizing a little bit better our operations. We also collected the first month of 12% TOT that was approved by the voters, and in November. And starting January, we started collecting 12% of TOT. And of course, every little bit will help us to get by. With that, I want to conclude my remarks today. I apologize that I had to go offline for a couple of minutes because we had some technical difficulties. I appreciate everything you're doing for the city of Monterey. Many of you are following us or contacting us or suggesting great ideas. Like I said earlier, we wouldn't have had the written postcard survey if it weren't for a resident calling in and saying, hey, that would be a great idea. And all great ideas, all good ideas will be considered, because we are all working for the same purpose, which is keep Monterey beautiful and a high quality of life place to live and work in. So with that, please stay healthy. Don't let your guards down. Wash your hands, wear a mask, encourage folks to wear your mask. Don't mix and mingle yet. And as I stated earlier, Montage Health, there are still vaccination spots available. Go online and check it out. Vaccination clinics are Thursday and Friday, and I have that sign-up sheet right now on my screen, and I'm just refreshing it to ensure how it looks like. Apologize. Yes, there are still options available, especially for the Friday session at the Montage Wellness Center. So again, Montage Health, Friday, there are still a bunch of slots open. that I recommend to sign up for. So with that, thank you guys for listening and have a great, safe day. See you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.